Welcome in. It is that time of week again, last call, and we've got a loaded, and I mean a loaded slate across the board here today. We're going to break down a little something for everyone. We've got Carmine Bianco coming up. Going to talk a little NHL. We've got Steve Merril going to dive into the college football week 9 slate, and we got Skee Profit coming in here. He'll be hitting cleanup, and of course, another slate of NBA games. The NBA back in action here, and plenty of opportunities to cash tickets in all of those sports here. So we're excited. It is Last Call, powered by Wager Talk TV, as we welcome in up first Carmine Bianco, because, well, in addition to him screaming and yelling behind the scenes at the television screen, because soccer is certainly underway here this early part of the day. We know you got plenty coming up on the ice here today, Carm, and you've been crushing it as usual. But talk to me about this first game you've got coming up here, because somewhere I'm sure Buster is getting ready to cry as the Jets get ready to take on the Montreal Canadiens. What are you thinking, man?
Buster and Andrew McInnes, my co-host on Puck Time, are Habs fans. My thoughts and prayers go out to them tonight. But yeah, it's the Winnipeg Jets. They're minus 160 in Montreal. Montreal plus 135 is the take back. The total 6.5, shaded to the under. And I'm quite surprised with this total right now. And I get it. A lot of games during the first couple of weeks of the NHL season, we've seen some goals being scored, but we're starting to see those unders, and we're starting to see some teams shore up their defense, play a lot better. And one of them is Winnipeg. Winnipeg is a mini 2-game road trip for them. The first one was in Detroit a couple of nights ago, and that Red Wings offense, especially at home, has been high powered. They kept them to a goal and beaten them 4-1. That's their third straight victory right now, and they've only allowed 5 goals over the 3 games. Winnipeg is playing extremely well defensively. They're scoring goals. And this total at 6.5, I just don't see it getting there. Winnipeg would have to do a majority of the scoring. You look at Montreal's numbers, and from an XG point, this is a team that seems to be doing well, but and seems to be scoring, but they're overperforming their XG numbers. I think they've pretty much been outplayed in every game but one this season on the XG scale, and they've managed to go over their numbers. What that normally means is that regression, those two lines will eventually cross. The regression is going to start to hit them, or they start to underperform, and that usually comes sooner rather than later. It's very rare for a team with not a ton of depth to continually surpass their XG numbers, and I think this is one of those cases. They now play a team playing extremely well defensively in Winnipeg, and I think Winnipeg wants to win this game, close out this 2-game road trip, 4-0 head home, and then play the Rangers, who are at the tail end of their road trip, and it's probably another good spot for Winnipeg. So they can put some points in the bank here tonight. But I'm more interested in the under in this game, under 6.5, because the line on Winnipeg has gotten away. You had to get this one early when it was in the minus 140s. It's up to like minus 160 now, and probably hits 165 before game time. So the under is the play here.
Under it is their shocker, Canadiens under. Who would have thought? Carm, you are crushing it, like we said, in the NHL, 11-6 just this week here. And before we get to another game on the ice, just want to send a shout out to those of you joining us for the first time here on Wager Talk TV. It is Last Call. And if it's NHL content you like, or let's say college football content you like, or what you're about to find out here with Skee Profit coming on, NBA content, we've got you covered here at Wager Talk TV. So hit that subscribe button, smash the like button if you're joining us here live today. We've got plenty coming your way on this final Saturday of October. Kind of hard to believe we're at this point here, Carm, but it's also kind of hard to believe that the Vegas Golden Knights just refuse to lose at this point. Are they going to lose a game, and will it be to the Kings today, in fact?
Well, they did lose one, Joe. They lost yesterday on to the Chicago Blackhawks of all
No.
teams,
Oh.
to snap the Vegas streak, the last unbeaten team in the NHL of all teams to do it. It was the Chicago Blackhawks, who come to Nevada on Nevada Day. I know it's Nevada Day is supposed to be, I think it's today, but I think they celebrate it on the first Friday or first Saturday, whichever it is. Nevada Day. It was an early 3 p.m. game, Vegas time, and Vegas jumped out to a quick 2-0 lead in that game. But before we knew it, it was tied at 2 at the end of the first period, and I think Chicago played better the rest of the way. Took the lead, Vegas tied it up, and then lose it in OT. And now it's a quick turnaround for them. They head to LA for this one, and normally, and I'm going to attack this from a couple ways. What I like to do is when a team, and I did it probably last season, is when a team loses their first off a long win streak, and 6 games is still a pretty good win streak. I normally like to fade them in the very next game, but I'm looking at the total here because you've got the LA Kings, who I think will eventually be a very good defensive team, but have not put it together yet. Last night they allowed 4 goals in the first period in Arizona, and we're down 4-1. Switched goalies from Copley to Cam Talbot, and came back and win that game 5-4. In the third period, they win the game 5-4. And now they travel home. So both teams are on a back-to-back. The total here is 6, shaded to the over. I think 20 cents to the over on the 6. And I think we're more likely to see a game with much more open ice than a tight checking game, at least this early on in the season. If it was in the second half of the season, you would think teams looking for points. But I think both teams off a back-to-back. Vegas a little upset about that win streak being snapped against Chicago of all teams, as I mentioned, who they had just beaten in Chicago 5-3. I think we're going to see an over here. This LA Kings team is playing extremely well. They're scoring goals, and I think they scored 11 goals in their last 2 games, both against Arizona. It was a home and home series, and I had that LA game as a 5% play in LA. So I'm looking at the over here. I think we see some goals tonight. If this was at 6.5, I would probably lay off of it. There's a big difference between 6.5 and 6 when you're betting overs, of course, the same as under. So I'm taking the over in this one and look for, hopefully we get plenty of goals and get them early, so we don't have to sweat that third period.
Yeah, well, it's overtime loss to the Blackhawks. Well, can't wait to get that taste out of their mouth. And taking on the Kings here. So we've got Kings, we got Knights, we got Winnipeg Jets, we got an under with the Montreal Canadiens. We also have Carmine on a current 11-6 streak this week alone in the NHL, and an access code, I believe Access 3, Carm, will get $20 off a 3-day all pass, so they can get the entire weekend of all your plays on the ice, on the pitch, whatever it may be. They can get $20 off by using Access 3.
Yeah, Access, and obviously in the number 3 gets you 20 off 3-day all access. A few more soccer games going today. Some college games that aren't up for sale. They're client plays that are up, and the NHL card, which is already up. Sunday's NFL 3-pack, which has a teaser in there as well too. 23-5 and 1 run with teaser. So let's try and keep that winning one going. And of course, then we're on to Monday as well too. So 3 days, plenty of plays for $49. It's a great deal.
It is a great deal. All right, let's check out. We got a question for you on the ice here. It looks like Jerbaka 42 in the house. Don't forget to smash the like button there, Jerbaka. But I think I'm on the Flames tomorrow for the Heritage Classic. Both are bad lately, but I'm thinking Flames have the edge. What are you thinking there, Carm?
Yeah, these teams, who would have thought both teams in Alberta would be struggling this early on? The Oilers, the well has run dry with this team. They just, I get it, McDavid is out, but they're just not scoring. They lose at home 3-0 to the New York Rangers, and that was their 4th straight loss. This team has to turn around, or somebody's got to get moved or fired. And then the Flames, just as bad. They come back from a road trip and have lost 2 straight games at home, scoring only 1 goal. This game is being played, obviously, outdoors in Edmonton as part of the Winter Classic. So it's going to be a cold one, and it's already snowed in Calgary to start with. So they've got snow in Alberta already, which means that it's obviously much colder in Alberta. So that ice frosts up quicker. You get a lot of snow on it, and they're going to be shoveling that snow during every a commercial break. What that normally means too is it's also a slower pace game, and I would likely lean to the under here. Usually these winter classic outdoor games, people they love to put a higher number out there because they think people are just going to bet the overs. They think it's going to be pond hockey, but it normally isn't. So I would take the under. If you can get a 6.5, I would take the under here.
All right, looking at it under there tomorrow. Thank you, Jabaka, and thank you, Carm, my man. Listen, best of luck with the plays this weekend. We appreciate the time. Don't forget access the number 3 there. Head over to Carm's page, grab all those hockey plays he's got for the next 3 days as we get ready to bring in Mr. College Football, Mr. NBA, Mr. College Basketball, Mr. Major League Baseball. You name it, double R1L in the house. Steve Merril on this Saturday. Merril, a pleasure, man. Gotta love it. Week 9. I understand you have a absolutely loaded card on slate here today. You like a lot of these games for your customers.
Yeah, Joe. I mean, we did several shows and videos this week. I did 3 standalone videos on Monday. I did 3 college football shows, Wager Talk today. So I probably have given out at least 6 to 10 free plays on the different shows this week. And I still have 5 other best bets. It's a mouthful. 5 best bets for my clients today. It's a 5-for-1 special. One of them does kick off early at noon Eastern, about an hour. The other's late afternoon, nighttime. Don't miss out on the 5-pack. But the better offer, like you said, is that 3-day all sport, all access for just $49, an instant $20 discount. Promo code ACCESS3 gets you Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, and it includes all my college football, pro football tomorrow and Sunday and Monday, NBA, and Major League Baseball. By the way, NBA already 2-1 this week, and we're up over 100 units in 2023 going back to January 1st in pro basketball alone.
I love it. We got there's a little something for everyone here this weekend, so don't forget. And by the way, if you're joining us for the live broadcast, if you have a question for Steve on the games he's going to break down right now or any games on the Week 9 slate, go ahead, drop them in the chat there. We'll get to as many as we can as soon as he's done here. But we're going to start, Merril, with a little South Alabama taking on UL Lafayette. South Alabama pretty much returned the entire damn team here this year, but they hit a couple of rough spots, but it looks like, especially after beating my Oklahoma State Cowboys, but it didn't go great after that. But this is a game they should win, right? Even though they're laying 11?
Yeah, I just did the math in my head, Joe. I did 14 games on the different shows and videos because I forgot about my top 25 video and then 5 more best bets. So I think that's 19 college football games that people could get through Wager Talk. This is not one that I've talked about. So I was digging deep, trying to find something different for the show here. And this was a game, obviously, that didn't make my top 25 video. It wasn't a high-profile game that we talked about on the college football show, but I wanted to talk about it for a couple reasons. First of all, I do a database simulation, 10,000 games. I run through the database. I get an average margin of victory in this one, 15.5 points for South Alabama. So there is some line value laying just the minus 11. So let's dig a little bit deeper into the matchup as well. And I do like the matchup here. South Alabama in excellent current form. They've put up 55 points in each of their past 2 games, 55-7 and 55-3, and they were 10 and 17 point favorites. So nothing crazy. They're in excellent current form. In fact, this team has now scored 30 points or more in 5 of their last 6 games since that opening loss to a very good Tulane team on the road in week 1. I don't think they take their foot off the gas here. They're coming off a 10-day rest period, a mini bye week, if you will, after the weeknight game. So I think the situational setup is good. Meanwhile, Louisiana Lafayette has to travel after just 6 days of rest. They played Georgia State at home last week. They lost. In fact, this is only their second road game since the middle of September. And their other only road game during that span was an 11-point loss at Minnesota as a 10-point dog. This is a really good South Alabama team. I don't think I've really talked about them much this season because, once again, they're in a lower-level conference. But this game has blowout written all over it, especially since Louisiana Lafayette is a run-based offense, 6 yards per carry. But the strength of South Alabama's defense has been a strong run D that barely gives up over 3 yards per rush. So I think when they get ahead, they pull away and they win big again. Not a game I've talked about on any show, so I wanted to save it for last call. South Alabama -11 this afternoon on Saturday.
Love that. Yep, Alabama getting it done here. And another game a lot of people have been looking at because while there's a lot of people here, Merrill, that might have stuck a fork in USC and think that maybe Caleb Williams is just biding his time to get to the draft. He might be a little surprised on that night. I don't know. But it's pretty much over for USC. But they got to go to Cal anyway. They're laying double digits. Yeesh. Are we laying double digits with USC here?
Yeah, I talked about this game earlier on Wednesday on Wager Talk Today with Teddy and the Prez, and Cal was +11 at the time. And I mentioned I like Cal, I like the over. I wanted to get a little bit closer, give everybody an update now that it's dropped to that key number of 10. I still think there's value with California at +10 or more. My database simulation makes it just 7.5. This is actually my free play for the week here on WagerTalk.com. I've got those 5 college best bets. This game was just a bit outside from making the cut, but it is a strong free play. It'd be my last cut this week on all the other games on the board. So I think it's worth, a 1 to 2% wager for that reason. And I do like California +10 for the reasons you mentioned, Joe. USC lost at Notre Dame. Bad spot, 5 turnovers to none. They actually outgained the Irish by almost 50 yards. But then they came back and lost as a 7-point home favorite last week to Utah. That was the death blow. Second loss of the season. National title hopes are over. They've now failed to cover 5 straight. Cal has failed to cover 5 straight, but I'd much rather have a double-digit underdog in that situation. And California has the offense to keep up in this game, and that's the key. USC's problem is they're not a good defensive team, and they were exposed again last week, giving up 34 to a Utah team that had been very mediocre on offense this year with the backup quarterback. So I'd like Cal to keep this close. You could definitely hedge it a little bit with the over 67 because the one concern, the one thing that kept it off my best bet card was the fact that USC is explosive, and I think they could score a lot of points here. But once again, I think Cal can keep up. So I like Cal +10, also like the over 67 for that reason.
Yeah, Justin Wilcox, coach of Cal, by the way, guys, 12-5 against the number as a home underdog since he has gotten there. And yeah, the records are not good with those teams that start 5-0, Steve, 6-0, and then lose back-to-back games. Yeah, right. There really isn't a bounce back situation. It's usually once that train starts rolling downhill, it does not get any better there. So before we let Steve tell you he's got plenty going on over at WagerTalk.com, but we got a couple of questions. Merrill will rattle through here about today's slate of games. Vegas Gianni looking to take the points with Florida today, 14.5, the largest cocktail party, if they still call that in Jacksonville. The question is, Merrill, how much will you have to drink to take Florida today?
Yeah, my college football top 25 video, we touched on this game, Joe. There's only 2 head-to-head top 25 matchups, but Florida right now is first additional votes in both polls, so they're 26th. Obviously, if they pull the upset here, they will be ranked next week. And I mentioned in that video, I don't think you're allowed to call it the greatest cocktail party. You definitely can't call it the Red River Shootout anymore. We learned that the hard way a few weeks ago. But I had people comment below, what is your favorite cocktail of choice? I recommend people do it here on this show as well. Old Fashions are leading the way right now in the college football video. Did not see that coming. Yeah, we had plus money on that. Old Fashions, got a couple beers. I think beer would be the second choice. But yeah, so it's pretty fun. Leave your comments below on YouTube. We do read them and reply back. Look, this line was 14.5 when it opened. It's at 14.5 all week. I had a feeling it might drop to 14, and that's what it's done here on Saturday. My simulation has it 14.5, so there's really no line value for that reason. But at 14 or less, Georgia's the only way I would play it. One of the reasons I thought this line might drop is that Georgia's only covered once all season. They're 1-5-1 against the spread. I have used Georgia only once all season as a best bet, and that was an easy winner in that one cover against Kentucky a few weeks ago. I mentioned it also for free in that top 25 video that week, gave it to everybody in that video. And one of the things I mentioned is that I thought Georgia would bring their A game in a focused spot. They've just kind of been going through the motions this year. They're still a very talented team, and you got to wonder if this is another one of those focus spots. I personally think it is. So even though I don't have any line value based on my simulation at 14 or less, Georgia would be my preferred side.
Yeah, it's where are the points coming from is my question there. But hey, Graham Mertz lit him up last week, right? A couple of weeks ago. What, South Carolina? Yeah, that ain't South Carolina's defense, though. So it should be interesting. I can't believe they went old-fashioned, Merrill. I mean, nobody.
Yeah, I didn't see that coming. I thought my viewer demographic, you know this better than anyone, Joe. You tell us our demographic on YouTube is like 29 to 40, but I don't know, man. Old fashions, that dates me even.
Listen, Skee's coming up here. We're going to talk some NBA, and if anybody knows drink choices, it'll be him, my man. We'll get his thoughts coming up. We do have one other question for you here, and it has to do with NC State getting points. It was 10, I think. I believe it's dropped now, 9.5 against Clemson, who is, can we just admit now, Clemson's not a very good football team here, Merril, on any, at least not compared to what people and the perception of Clemson is.
Yeah, so I mentioned that, USC was in a letdown spot. My simulation favors them both 7.5. We can definitely say that Clemson could be in a letdown spot as well, as they got their third loss of the season last week, and it came in overtime against Miami. All those things add up to flat spot. And guess what? My simulation, once again, has Clemson by 7.5 only. So there is value with NC State. As you mentioned, the line was double digits most of the week at 10. Now it's 9.5. NC State's quarterback has been listed as questionable, so the line move probably has a little bit to do with that. He's been banged up on and off this season, is expected to play now. I just don't know what to make of the NC State offense, though. They've been below average, both running and passing, and Clemson is a very good defensive team. However, I do think letdowns often happen on the defensive side of the ball, so that might benefit NC State's offense a little here. All things equal, though, I think the under makes a lot of sense just due to the fact both teams have struggled offensively. 44 is a pretty low total. But I would lean NC State, and I would lean under as well.
Yeah, listen, I think they're much better offensively, NC State, with MJ Morris than they were with Brennan Armstrong, who's got to be, 35 now anyway. So, yes, not impressed with good old Clemson here. Yeah, he likes old fashions, Brennan Armstrong. All right, Merril, you got plenty going on. Before we let you get out of here, just give the folks a quick reminder over on your page at WagerTalk.com. What's going on this weekend?
You're watching this on YouTube, so while you're here, hit subscribe and hit the bell for instant alerts. You'll know when my college football top 25 video goes live every Thursday. It's up there right now. And NFL Fade the Public will be up later this afternoon on Saturday. Our producer, Eric, is working behind the scenes to get that ready. By the way, Eric, check the comments on the college football video. Several people giving Eric a shout-out in the college football comments, so I appreciate that. He's helping us with this show as well. And it's funny, when I read the first one, it said, "Go Eric." I was like, who the heck is Eric? And I was like, oh, that's right. I told people to shout out Eric. So once again, I give Eric some love, give Joe Raineri some love. They make the magic work here at Wager Talk TV. Hit subscribe, hit the bell, hit the like button, comment below. And yeah, check out my page, All Sports Specials, 3-day, a 65-day, which is the rest of 2023, and a 365-day. You pick the one that works best for you. Special promo codes and discounted prices for all of them. I've got 5 strong college football best bets right now. Steve Merril, WagerTalk.com.
All right, Merril, get out of here. Good luck with the plays here this weekend. And we've got one left here. And for those of you watching us on the live broadcast here, it is NBA time, guys. And if you have any of those NBA questions on the slate here tonight, get ready, drop them in the chat room. And if you are new here to Wager Talk TV, go ahead, hit that subscribe, hit the like button, because we have one of the best at Wager Talk now, talking NBA hoops with you. Skee Profit up early in the morning, ready to go. We got a slate of games here today. 1 week, almost one full week in here, Skee. And if I watch one more Toronto and Chicago Bull game, I'm going to throw up. But what's going on here, my man? You got, I guess, about 8-9 games on the slate here tonight. You have a couple that you like and want to focus in on, and I'm interested to get your thoughts. First and foremost, with the New York Knicks, who I thought they were going to blow it last night, but man, oh man, they Randall to the rescue. They toughened up. Thibs, second of a back-to-back. What are we doing here against New Orleans?
Yeah, I don't know about 9 or 10 games, but it's a good amount of games. I think like 6 or 7. And we could talk about as many as you like, or, whatever. But as far as this one is concerned, I'll keep it pretty simple, as I've been doing to start the year, because we don't have a lot of the data. We don't have a lot of the numbers that we use. So in general, home favorites with more rest than their opponent win about 72.5% of the time. If their opponent is unrested, it increases by 1.1%. And you're looking at New Orleans minus 150. So if you're just looking at the implied probability of that, they're telling you it's like a 60% chance they win. and the situation they're in. I just told you just a little bit above 70% or 72 or 73% that they win. So I really want to try to find reasons to back New Orleans here. It's the only thing holding me up is I just don't feel like they match up extremely well versus New York Knicks team. Um, Pelicans, I feel like want to eat in the paint, like we know Zion wants to, Valanciunas wants to, etc. Even though he can spread it out a little bit, and New York is pretty good at defending in the paint. They got Mitchell Robinson down there amongst other things. I think if you can take advantage of New York's guards, that's where you can start to make money as far as betting against them. So I'm a little skeptical, but it's a one-way ticket for me. You bet the Pelicans or you stay out the way in this game.
It's funny, Ski. I saw a stat this morning about the Knicks under Thibs, 24-12-2 against the number on the second night of a back-to-back. I don't know. Thibs apparently gets the Knicks to play in these spots where you're looking to fade them, and then next thing you know, you're like, what in the hell? But that's pretty impressive by Thibs and the Knicks as they get ready to take on New Orleans, a team that I liked, Ski, that we talked about this week. The Indiana Pacers, boy, they came out, dropped 200 points in that opening game, which was hilarious against Washington. But they're taking on Cleveland. I didn't see Indiana last night. I did see Cleveland last night. So what are we doing in this particular spot?
Yeah, I really don't want to take any of these teams who play. I want to try to find reasons to back the teams who did not play last night. I'm still not sure that I can do it with the Pacers. When I look at this game, the thing that stands out to me, like you said, we know what the Pacers are going to do. They're going to play up tempo, and they're not going to play a whole lot of defense. We need Halliburton in the lineup, though. We can't expect the Pacers offense to look as crisp if he's not there. And right now, he's game time decision. So I would want to know for sure. I'd wait for that alert. And if I see him in, I would like it a lot more. At the same time, you look on the other side, you have Darius Garland. He is game time decision right now. I'm trying to see if he's a little bit more towards likely or unlikely, but it's not saying here. He's a true game time. And then you have Jared Allen, who's missed both games so far this season, and game time decision for this one, not listed as out, but still unsure if he's going to play. So if Jared Allen is out, there's absolutely no rim protection for Cleveland, and you'll get those second chance points for Indiana. And Cleveland likes to play a lot more up tempo when he's not out there. So if we get that, no Jared Allen and Halliburton in, I'm gonna get to the window with the over in this game. I think that's that. But not knowing the injuries, question marks, I just can't make a move yet.
So we only got a couple of games underneath, and we're going to grab a couple of questions here for you. But I do want to. I mean, I was making fun of that. That might have been the worst final 30 seconds in overtime worth of basketball I have seen in a long time with Chicago and Toronto last night. How in the hell Toronto lost that game is beyond me. But yet now, an overtime game last night, Ski, with Chicago. Now they got to travel to go to Detroit, who had a fairly easy time in their spot last night. Young team, at home. Don't know if Zach LaVine's going to play in this one. What do we do with this Chicago team? Seems like the spot to fade them.
Yeah, Zach LaVine game time decision, but he's more towards likely. So I do think he will be out there. At the same time, I'm sticking to what I said before. I don't want to back any of these teams who played in the game, especially if they went to overtime last night. The Chicago's Bulls team, one game in, they had to have the players meeting. I know they were able to sweep that win out of that one, but I'm still not loving what I'm seeing from this group. Whereas on the other side, you got a new coach in Monty Williams, who seems like he's getting these guys to buy in and play for him, which, teams usually do wherever he goes. And I'm starting to see a good amount of young talent on this Pistons roster. So them at the house, rested, coaching advantage, players bought in. I could only look towards the Pistons in this game.
I'm with you there, man. My boy Cade Cunningham back in action here. It's great to see him healthy. I think good things for the Pistons coming up this year. We do have a couple of questions, but I do want to remind you guys as well. Ski, you got a 5% play in the association tonight in one of these 7 games that folks can grab over at your page at WagerTalk.com. You got anything else going on?
As of right now, that's the only play I have up. I do believe this promo is still active. and you should probably take advantage. I was talking with a guy on Twitter. You want to be able to get the lines right when I release them,
Oh, yes.
and not have to get the ass into the line. So you can still get the early bird has been extended for my NBA. I think you use coupon code EBNBA, and that takes about $200 off, and that's good until a couple more days. So you should take advantage while you can. But yes, the play that I absolutely love tonight, 5% up and available on my page there. And I've hit 71 of my last 90, 3% NBA plays or higher. That's just under 80%.
Love it. Love it. Guys, opportunity here to cash some tickets in the association tonight. Let us take a look here as Rise and Grind's got a question for us, wants to know about the Jazz and the points here today. The Utah Jazz, the contrarian gods on the NBA tip-off show yesterday were a big believer in the Utah Jazz. Yes, yeah, I think they even convinced Skee, in fact, that might be his side to look. And they were pretty good last night, but now they got to take on the Phoenix Suns. Another one of these spots, though, Skee, right? You want to try to avoid teams that just played 24 hours ago versus teams who didn't. What are we doing here?
And that's why I'm not running to the window. But I do like coming into the year, I like this Utah roster. I mean, last year, they were a team that surprised everybody. I know all the pieces are not the same, but they still have some of those guys over there. I just feel like it's a lot of guys who are in a position that they have to prove themselves this year. Taylor Horton-Tucker, John Collins. I mean, they have other guys who are kind of proven, like Markkanen and Clarkson, etc. But I just really like what they have going on right now. Now, on a back-to-back, I really don't like to take these teams versus another team who's not. But Phoenix, they're not going to have Devin Booker. They're not going to have Bradley Beal. I don't like laying points with teams who I don't feel like I can expect to get stops. And that's what I think about this Phoenix team. So to expect them to come in here and win by multiple possessions versus a hungry Jazz team, it doesn't make me feel comfortable. This is the one where maybe it's not the only one, but talking it out right now, seeing how they played last night, I would be looking a little bit more towards Utah plus the points.
All right, looking at Utah plus the points in this one here. Phoenix already with 3 games in already to bet no Bradley Beal. It might not be until December before we see Bradley Beal in a Phoenix uniform. Absolutely crazy here. Skee Profit, NBA is the game. If you guys go grab his 5% play right now, guys, it's available. It's a game he absolutely loves. There's 7 on the card here tonight. No reason to let that slip by here, guys. He's all over it. And when he is with these 5% plays, yeah, they're cashing. So do yourself a favor there. Head over to Skee's page at WagerTalk.com. Skee, a pleasure as always, my man. Best of luck here with the plays all weekend long. And again, we want to thank you guys for hanging with us here. If you haven't done so already, smash that like button, hit the subscribe button, and you'll get notified, of course, when we have all of the content, whether it be college football, whether it be NBA, the rest of the World Series, NHL. We have got you covered here at Wager Talk TV. In fact, if you just go ahead and click on that video on the screen right now, you'll have access to all of the games this week and all the content and best bets that come along with it. So until next Saturday, we appreciate your time. Best of luck with all your plays. We'll talk to you again soon.